All right, so this right here is the new Dark Storm Industries MFR rifle. Well, there's nothing like getting a fresh rifle, getting out there and finding out how it's going to run, especially when your day starts off like this.
Hey, missed the mag. Missed it, then dropped it.
I guess those are just the flubs of life that happen when you're testing out a new setup here that's got full ambidextrous controls, like the new DSi MFR. But I turned that around quickly once I got used to it. However, I did notice one thing that did not do me any favors out there on the range while testing this. So what exactly is the new MFR all about? Because there is a lot of little touches and design changes that DSi or Darkstorm Industries put into this thing to kind of advance the decades old AR design kind of into a more modern rig. And one of the biggest ones for everybody is going to be full ambidextrous controls right here. So bolt lock, bolt release, and then ambidextrous magazine release, making it fully ambidextrous, which I know a lot of people want in the modern market when it comes to a rifle. And then next up, you're going to see this one is a very cool kind of camo pattern, and that is from DSi directly. I did not do that, although I did paint the mags. I've had those laying around for a while, just haven't used them. So this full camo pattern will be an option. They will also have your standard black, flat dark earth, and OD green, all as Cerakoted options, which is pretty cool because a lot of people want something to match their gear or whatever they're doing out there, or they just don't like your basic black. So why not get a little color in there, I guess. But there's a lot of other really good stuff and small attributes we're going to talk about as we go through this thing. And let's go ahead and start off from the buttstock out to the business end here. You're going to see that we get that Magpul MOE SL stock on there. Now moving up under that, you're going to have a forged 7075 buffer tube with an extra position for a total of 6. It's got some horizontal holes in it to help release pressure and expel air and moisture. It's also got your standard drain holes in there, which is nice because if you're operating in a wet environment, it could get full of water, so that helps. Inside there, you're going to get a standard carbine buffer and buffer spring. The castle nut there will be properly staked on it in 2 places, and you do get a QD sling point to finish off the back end of that receiver right there. You get the DSi Ambi charging handle on it, forward assist, fully ambidextrous safety on there, 45 or 90, whichever you are into, and it has a stubby on one side so you don't accidentally hit it with your primary hand. Makes things easy, and you'll also get extended takedown and pivot pins. Down lower there, you get a Magpul MOE K grip. That is the very small one that Magpul offers, and we're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. And then the trigger on this one is a 2-stage, 4.5 pound total pull from DSi, and I have to say this thing is solid. I am normally not a fan of 2-stage triggers on kind of a rifle like this. Precision, yes, but on standard rifles like this, I'm not. But this thing, I was able to just run right off the bat, which is not normal for me on a 2-stage. And it flat out was fast. All right, now before we get back into the good stuff that this new MFR is, if you guys like content like this and getting information on new items that are out there or things you might be interested in, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's gonna do a couple things. 1, it'll make sure you don't miss videos when they drop. 2, it's gonna push this video to other people, maybe some of which are interested in the same stuff, and others of which maybe have never seen 2A content before, and might win them over and just help our overall cause. And if you guys are interested in anything you see here today and doing your own research, I will have a full build list. It's the first link in the description, and you can check that out, do all of your own research, and figure out if any of that stuff is going to be for you. Now getting back at it, you'll also see you've got an extended trigger guard down there, which should be standard on pretty much everything these days, in my opinion. You'll have the ambidextrous bolt catch and release right there above the trigger, obviously. And this is a very nice design. So it's kind of a flat pad with straight linear texture on it. And it is super easy to use, more so than some others that are kind of similarly designed. And all of that stuff is housed on the 7075 forged upper and lower receiver set. The rail in this one's going to be a full 15 inches in design, the one your girlfriend tells you not to worry about, and is going to be redesigned for rigidity with M-lock and key areas where you probably want them, closed off areas and other to keep it super solid, and then also 4 QD points. The barrel in here is a 16-inch chromoly vanadium 1-in-9 twist rate, kind of maximized for that, M855 ammo. A pinned gas block on there for the ultimate in durability and reliability. And the barrel is also dimpled to ensure just a no-fail alignment on there. And it's going to be capped off with their new, what they call Where's the Flash Hider, that is supposed to give you a 20% reduction in flash signature as compared to a standard A2, which is a very solid increase because the A2 is actually pretty effective. Another thing they did on this is prior to the Cerakoting the entire receiver set is clear anodized Type 3 mil spec and then dry filmed and then Cerakoted in a low IR visual Cerakote per mil spec standards, because if you've never seen certain things under IR, they glow. This one's gonna do away with that a little bit. Now there are some really cool small touches that are built into this thing that we have to take a look at up close. And then of course, get to that 2-stage trigger right there, stage 1, and then a brake. And you can see that thing is solid. I'm not normally a huge fan of the 2-stage stuff, but it just seems to work. So let's get into some of those details. And of course, put that trigger on the gauge. All right, as you can see, I've got this thing about as broke down as I possibly can to show you guys stuff in here. We'll start off with these serviceable charging handles. So you see right here, normally this area is just milled out so the charging handle can kind of bite into it, right? That little edge right there that nips onto the side of the receiver that you can see going in and out. Well, the problem with that is it eventually wears into that, so they have replaced it with a stainless steel serviceable pin that you can change out from the top. Not a bad idea, pretty cool. Moving forward from that, get into that rail a little bit. You can see right there 2 pretty decent sized stainless steel retaining pins that are for anti-rotation, and they fit into some corresponding holes right there in the rail, therefore giving you a really good way to kind of deal with an anti-rotation system, at least in one way, but there are more things going on here. So moving on to the front right there, you can see the barrel nut is extended and kind of has some cutouts in it and everything like that. And they did that to kind of turn it into like a heat sink, because this part of the barrel right here in the throat, you've all heard probably of throat erosion with barrels. This is a super hot point in the barrel right here. So there's a lot of wear that takes place in there, and getting heat out of there helps that. So that eventually will give a little bit more barrel life in there. Kind of a really cool little thought. And then of course, that gas block right there, you can see that it is pinned. It is also got the traditional screws in there, and it is dimpled up under there as well. It is a carbine length gas system in there, and you can see the profile of the barrel is pretty standard. And then they have the What the Flash Hider on there, which has a little bit of that ring to it. I hope you can hear that. So until you get a carbon build up on there, flash hiders like that do kind of give you that little ring on there. Cool things about the rail right here, besides those anti-rotation points up in there, this is what they call their chain link right here. So you can see it is an additional hardened steel piece in there that's held in not only by a screw on the off side, which provides tension on the rail, but also by the other 2 very large screws, as you can see right there, that hold that rail onto the barrel nut right there, going through these pass holes so it stays in place. But that is actually captured in there like that right there into the lower receiver pivot pin. So pretty cool design right there. Gives another level of anti-rotation and ensures this rail is definitely not going anywhere. You'll see that there's slots in there that they've left full. That was by design. They wanted to give you M-lock where you need it, and leave these spots in here to give it the utmost in rigidity, because what's a rail if it's not rigid? So as you can see, you've got your QD points, all that good stuff. I've got a couple accessories on here, and overall the rail design is pretty cool. All right, now let me bring in the bolt and carrier group right here, because there is some cool stuff going on. Let's start off with the actual bolt itself. You can see there's dual ejectors in there. So those little 2 pins right there are pretty cool. And then we've got cryogenically treated gas ring, cryogenically treated ejectors in there. Overall, this thing is going to give you a lifetime of service. And as you can see right there, get you a good view, it is magnetic particle inspected and it's 9310. So a lot of people talk about Carpenter 158, which is a great steel. 9310 is a very good steel as well, and it's going to do everything you need it to do. And then it's got all the mil-spec coatings on there that reduce friction and all that good stuff. When it comes to the carrier itself, this is 8620, which is again a great steel for a carrier. It's got a DLC coating on there per mil-spec, and it's got all kinds of good stuff done to it to make sure it's going to give you a lot of life. You will see up there that it is properly staked, and they're also using, I forget the name of the actual screw right there, the fastener, but it's got like knurling on the outer edge, so when they do the actual staking, it bites into it. It's not coming off. You would have to destroy it to get it off of there, and you can see it's got that little marking right there, the laser engraving of the armor lube. It's going to do everything you're going to need it to do, and then the rest of the parts are your basic mil-spec stuff minus the cryogenic treating and all that, which is going to be good to go and help you out. And then of course, like I showed you already, you've got that ambidextrous charging handle right there, which is always a plus. Let's go ahead and move into the lower receiver right here. This is your bolt catch and your bolt release. And you can see it's a nice little edge right there. So it's not going to get in the way, but it's easy enough where you can get your finger up there or below it and activate that or release the bolt. It's pretty good. I like the fact that it's built like this. I've had other ones that were a little sleeker, a little tighter, and they're difficult to work with sometimes. So overall, a very good design. And then you got Ambi safeties, and you've got those extended takedown and pivot pins right there. And of course, your Ambi mag release as well. Let's go ahead and do some trigger pulls here. Actually, I'll give you just a good clean look at it up front. So two-stage, first stage right there is very light, just a great clean break. Reset is solid, audible, tactile, and just good to go. I'm normally not a huge fan of two-stage trigger, but this one just works. And they say it's like 4.5 pounds. I think it's lighter than that. Personally, I think it's lighter than that, and we're about to find out. So I'm gonna do mostly center pulls right here because that's where they tested it, I guarantee. All right, and that first one came out at 3.46 pounds. So that's about a pound lighter than what they say it is. 3.22 pounds. All right, we'll do one more unless we get a weird reading. 3.18. So I'm going to pull it actually lower because the lower you pull, usually the lighter it gets. You're working that leverage, right? 2.14 pounds. So that is a very solid trigger when it comes to a two-stage trigger. Again, there's that first stage, a very tactile and audible reset, and it's just good to go. I think they did a great job on this overall rifle. And since I know some of you need the detailed specs, here's a little bit of music. I know that might have been a little bit in depth on this thing, but what does it all add up to? Basically, that should make for a very good hard use rifle that's going to need very little maintenance for thousands and thousands of rounds and just last you a very long time and give you pretty much all of the options in a base rifle that you could want, and then you can accessorize it as you see fit. And it ran like an absolute champ out there. I didn't have a single problem feeding this everything from junk imported ball ammunition to nicer self-defense stuff. Functionally, it was 100%, and it ran flat and it ran fast. And one of the things I noticed right off the bat was there is zero movement, like no noticeable movement between the upper and the lower. So when you press out on this thing, it feels super solid. I don't know about you guys, but I hate a sloppy upper to lower receiver fit. Now, if it's within spec, not going to be an issue. It's not going to cause problems. If things are with spec and there's a little bit of movement there, but me personally, it bugs me, and I like the fit a little bit tighter without having to put like a Acu wedge or adjust a screw. This thing was just solid right out of the box, and I can appreciate that, and I think a lot of you out there can appreciate that as well. And since it's a new rifle, I paired it up with some new things I have been testing out. First off being that Holosun SCRS in the green. That is turning out just to be a great little minimalist optic right there, and I will do a full review on that soon. And then moving forward, I've got this little Sylvan Arms kind of quick detach M-lock. You just press the buttons on the side and it locks in, and it is very solid and sturdy. And you get QD point for sling, and you get either a clip or a tie off for a sling right there, which is definitely cool. And you can move it and put it anywhere you want. Factory USA barricade stop, which is one of my favorite little polymer versions. And that HRT ODA, the omnidirectional one right there, where you can either long press, click it in, click it off, do whatever you want, 360-degree rotation, change the body around, a lot of good stuff on there. So I just wanted to kind of try some different things on this one to include the optic in that, but overall turned out pretty slick, smooth, and stayed very light, which I think a lot of people want to stay light when it comes to a cool thin rifle. Now, I know I said I didn't have a single problem with this out on the range, so functionally wise, it was 100%, but as you all know, nobody gets a free pass here. So if there's kind of something I find that maybe doesn't work for me or I think could be a little bit better, I'm gonna bring that up to you guys, because this was sent in by DSI, and most of the stuff, or a lot of the stuff here, is sent in these days. So to stay true, I always try to find something that I could make better or I think could be better, because gotta keep the reviews honest. For me, it's this small MOE grip right here. If you see how my hand smashes into that thing right there, it caused a lot of problems for me out there, specifically with the safety and getting the magazine release. And you can see how far my finger goes forward with that small grip on there, because it lacks the part that comes up over the back of the lower receiver, and it's just super small. So I've got big double XL size meat hooks, and I've just got too much hand to have a grip that small. So that is nitpicking, yes, but that would not be my preferred grip. So I'm gonna get the K2, which is a little bigger, a little thicker, has that back section for the web of your hand, and overall gives me the spacing for length of pull that I need, because look how far forward my finger is there. So coming back onto the trigger, right, and then getting the controls worked, that caused some issues for me. But other than that, the thing was a champ, and it performed. Like I said, just nitpicking it. Now, what about those price points? Because there's no such thing as a free lunch. So the camo version you see right here obviously is going to be more expensive because there's more work. And I wrote this down here. So in the stores, you're gonna see them, and I'm gonna say around, because I don't know exactly what it's gonna be, because these are gonna launch like literally the week after I'm filming this video. You're gonna see them probably right around $2,100 for the camo version in a fully ambidextrous setup. And then these standard versions, about $1,700, which for a fully ambi rifle that's built, set up like this one with all those cool kind of little changes to upgrade it, is not bad at all. Because if you compare that to a lot of other full ambi setups out there in the market today, they're a little bit more expensive by probably at least a few $100. As far as what this thing will actually come with, you're gonna get your magazine, your manual, a lock, and it's gonna come in a genuine cardboard box. Make sure you guys get subscribed to the channel. Check that parts list out down below, do your own research. Keep doing it on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready, and I will see you all on the next one.